In this video, I'm going to give you the keys to selecting the right tools for your prepping toolkit. Tools in and of themselves, they extend our capacity, they extend our abilities. So you've got to have tools, but you've got to have the right tools. And so in this video, we're going to unpack how do you select between the two main categories of tools. We're going to reveal to you what those are so that you can pick the right tools for the disasters that are likely to come to your doorstep for the needs of your family so that you are prepared and ready for anything that can come at you. That's coming up. Okay guys, so there are so many different disasters that are stacking up at our doorstep more and more in our world right now. And so everything from government just breakdown of our systems to war is increasingly happening in different places and even new fronts right now, to potential breakdown of supply chains and our systems. There's a lot of different things to be prepared for right now. And in this video series, we're talking about preparedness strategies. And specifically in this video, we've got to talk about tools because it's not enough to begin to prepare, but you've got to actually pick the right tools. Tools extend our capacity. They extend our abilities. And so we need to have tools. We need to make a custom plan. And so we're going to look at this now. What does it mean to make a custom plan for your particular scenario? Now, as always, we dive into the Reddit threads on this channel so that we can learn from the wisdom of the crowd. Information is not the problem. We've got a lot of that. We need to sift through it and find the right answer. So in this thread, what tools should we be prepping for the SHTF situation? And so tools are often overlooked or forgot when prepping for SHTF. I would agree. Tools are often the forgot about part. We think about the cans of food, we think about the bug out bag, but we forget about tools. And so I've heard that I have some of the most common tools, hand and electric tools, and it's concerning how many people have asked to borrow my saws, and that seems like a tool everybody should already have. So dialing into this topic, we see within the thread, there's some interesting trends here. And so the number of items mentioned by category within this thread is actually pretty shocking. At the very bottom of this bar graph, you see basic hand tools blows everything else out of the water with by far the most important tools to have on hand. Now, there is some mention of electric tools and garden and farming tools. Those are critical as well, but hand tools take the show, right? And so as we look at this, these are the two categories we're going to talk about in this video, but even as you see this, manual tools are considered to be the most critical piece, and there's some reasons for that I'm going to reveal to you in a minute, the reason why you're going to want to focus on that over electrical tools. And so these are the two categories that we need to talk about. Let's start by talking about manual tools, or I actually like the term hands-on tools. Now, when it comes to hands-on tools, what are we even talking about here? Now, a definition of this, then we've got to talk about some examples of it, are methods and tools that do not rely on electricity or automated systems, right? They focus on self-sufficiency and the ability to perform essential tasks manually. So just to break that down a little bit, we're talking about tools here. We're talking about methods here. And again, they extend your capacity or your abilities, but they don't rely on electricity to do so. And so when we're looking at these kinds of tools, it's focused on you being able to be self-sufficient and not rely on systems that can break down. And it allows you to focus on those essential tasks, meaning there's some key critical things in order to continue to live your life that you're going to want to have tools to help you to do to extend your capacity and your ability. Now, examples of this, hand tools would be a manual can opener. Pretty simple, right? You're going to have cans on hand. You're going to make sure that you have a can opener to be able to use those cans. But we've got to begin to think in these categories so we identify the right things to have on hand. A hand crank radio is going to be pretty critical in a potential grid down situation. Now, non-electric methods can include like gardening with hand tools. In other words, can you be able to think beyond the collapse of the supply lines to be able to be self-sufficient in getting your own food? If you're going to do that, you're going to need to have garden hand tools on hand that are manual. And then manual water collection. And I won't dig into the specifics of how to do all of this, but these categories are pretty important when you begin to think about what are the kinds of disasters that could come to your doorstep and how do you prepare for them? Now, there are advantages and drawbacks within each of these different kinds of tools. And of course, the advantages potentially for a manual or hands-on tool is that they're cost effective. They're going to be more affordable. They're going to be more easy to pick up. Even used options can be found either on eBay or you can go to a local thrift store and find them. So they're cost effective to get. And you can rely on that fact that when you go to even a thrift store or a secondhand store, that mostly manual tools or tools that are not requiring mechanics or electricity they're going to be durable and you're going to be able to buy them secondhand with confidence. Just they might have a few more dents in them, right? And they're easy to repair. So simple mechanics, they mean quick fixes. So these are the advantages, right? Now, the challenges of these kind of manual strategies or hands-on is they can be more time consuming, right? So it's going to take longer to complete the task that you might be able to complete very quickly with something that is mechanical or electrical, right? They also may require some physical labor, and that requires more effort, and then thereby more endurance. So there are some drawbacks, there are some challenges there, but some practical tips to focus on when it comes to the hands-on piece before we reveal to you that second category of tools that you're going to want to consider for your particular scenario is, there are some different types that I've already mentioned, like the manual can opener, the hand crank radio, or potentially water filters. You're going to want to think about water filters as well. These are some manual options that allow you to especially tackle those essential needs. That's what we need to focus on in this video. Is there's some essential challenges to just living your daily life that you need to be ready to tackle, and just having water and food on hand, that limits you if you're not able to extend your ability and capacity to handle the situation over time. So if you can not only have water on hand, but actually begin to filter that water, it extends your capacity and ability. Now, you've also got to be thinking through maintenance with this. So regularly checking and maintaining your tools so that you ensure that they work when you need them, right? And then finally, the DIY aspect of all of this. There's a lot of options you can go out there and buy. When it comes to the manual side of this, there's actually a lot of ways that you can build your own. So think rainwater collection systems. You can actually begin to build your own rainwater collection systems, or even solar ovens. And I've got some of those kinds of video content on our channel here. Check out those videos so that you can learn how to create some of these items. But manual, that's the advantage of them, is they actually allow you to create some of these things on your own. You're not reliant on some parts and systems that you don't understand. Now let's move to part two. Before we do that, I want to talk about a way that you can begin to assess your needs, because it's not enough to begin to think about these tools. You've got to tailor them to your situation, and that's where this resource comes into play that we have created for you, and it's called the 15 Minutes Readiness Checker. It's linked in the description below, and what's great about this is that in 15 minutes you can go from 0 to prepared and actually begin to dial into where you're at in your preparedness journey. Everybody starts at a different spot, and what's most important is taking action from where you are. And if you don't know where you are, you don't know how to take action, that's what this readiness checker does. It helps you to shield your loved ones and identify essential preparedness, and then be actually the last checkpoint is the key point to take command and to begin to build resilience and confidence for any scenario by taking action with the next step that's right for your particular context. What are the disasters going to come to your doorstep and your scenario? Okay, so let's talk about mechanical and electrical tools. Again, you can find that in the description below. But when it comes to the second category of the kinds of tools you need to be thinking about, that is mechanical and electrical. And in this case, the definition for this would be methods and tools that rely on mechanical or electrical power to function. They are focusing on technology to perform essential tasks. Again, we're talking about essential tasks in this video because when it comes to survival, you need to do the basic stuff. And mechanical tools are going to allow you to do that without any dependence on moving parts. But again, that's slow. Here, if you can have some options on hand that are electrical or mechanical, they actually allow you to perform that essential task, but more efficiently, right? Examples of this: solar panels. They convert sunlight to electrical power. That's going to actually increase your capacity in a survival situation. Generators. They provide backup power during outages, right? Battery banks, and that all of this is in the electrical field, but they store electrical energy for later use, and you can have that on hand. Energy efficient appliances, they reduce the power consumption while maintaining functionality. So if you're not in a grid down situation, and again, you should be preparing for multiple different kinds of scenarios dependent on your particular context. Get our guide to identify what's right for you. But you should begin to think through, how do I increase my capacity and ability through these different kinds of tools, including electrical and mechanical. Now, some advantages for this type of category of tools are that they're time saving. They're going to perform these tasks faster than manual methods. And sometimes that's going to actually conserve your energy, right? So that's number 2, easier to use with less physical effort. And in a survival situation, that can actually be pretty critical that you preserve your energy for other things. So having these electrical and mechanical options, maybe not only, but having them alongside of some of the manual or hands-on options, it extends your capacity and your ability. Finally, they're automated, so they can operate without constant human intervention, and that can actually, again, the goal of all of this is to increase your capacity, increase your ability, so that you can, so you can survive and even multiply your efforts. Okay, so disadvantages. Disadvantages of these kinds of tools may be obvious: higher cost. Initial investment is more expensive. And then maintenance needs. They require regular upkeep and technical knowledge to be able to be effective. And then finally, dependency on power sources. So they're vulnerable to prolonged power outages. If you've got a grid down situation, may not be the best, right? But when it comes to all of this, there are some ways that you can think through this practically. That's what I want to focus on here. And that's that you've got to choose the right equipment. You've got to think through your scenario. And again, this is going to be dependent on the particular disasters that can come to your doorstep. But thinking through things like solar panels, generators, battery banks, and again, you're going to filter this based on your needs. So identify what is the top challenges that might come to you. Prioritize that. Prioritize based on short term, so 72 hours. What are the things that are going to extend your capacity for the first 72 hours, and then 3 months, and then extend it on to 3 years after that. You're going to build out your resilience. And so choose the equipment accordingly based on your needs and then also on your budget. You may have to save up for this. And then you're going to need some step-by-step instructions to set up these kinds of things. So you're gonna have to think through and invest time into learning some skills and how to set these up versus the hands-on or manual tools that you can generally use without a whole lot more know-how and learning curve. And then finally, there's the regular maintenance. And so when it comes to these kinds of items, they're gonna have a lot more maintenance requirements in order to extend that kind of capacity for you. So in all of this, here's what I want you to think through, that there are tools that are out there that are going to extend your capacity in a survival situation. You need to have tools. You can't just have a shelf full of canned food and water and maybe a tent and a bug out bag. Those things are critical for the first 72 hours, but tools are going to, again, extend your capacity, extend your ability beyond that. And so it's not enough to just, hey, go to the hardware store and just grab a bunch of things, throw them in a cart. You've got to think through what's going to be right for your scenario. Now, we would love to hear from you. What are some of the tools that you have thought through for your particular scenario that you didn't even see on this video you think we should be considering and including? Leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear from you on that. Also, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video. All of that tells us, hey, we're on to something with this content and you want more of it. And with that said, if there's anything else you think we should cover on this YouTube channel, leave it in the comment below. See you next time.